Get a view from the political analyst, Professor Hanyane. He's a professor at Northwest University. Professor, good afternoon to you. I've been scratching my head today quite a lot, and I cannot remember an incident where this has happened, where a party's gone to the Electoral Court to ask for this process of opening candidate lists to be reopened, and certainly not the ANC, the governing party, to do this.
Yeah. Stephen, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your viewers. Look, I think it's more of creating a cushion for the ANC not to take the full flag and blame for some of the anomalies that we've witnessed. The open protest over the weekend by the Moretele branches signifies that not all is rosy at Luthuli House, and perhaps unearthing some of the old problems that have been covered for quite a while. For instance, are all branches functioning? And if so, is due process of administering those branches in order? Are branches that are hiring facilities from private service providers, paying for those? Is staff in the ANC being paid? All of these issues are bound to create a rather dark cloud when it comes to the preps for the governing party.
Well, I mean, in some ways, this is quite a technical process. I mean, I think if you're a candidate for a party, you also have to be a registered voter. Some people didn't get registered, perhaps. All of these things happen. But in the normal course of events, in a normal situation, and Professor, I've forgotten what normal is nowadays, frankly, during the pandemic, but in a normal situation, there would be a group of people, some of them not very exciting at parties, and they would be sitting down and making sure that all of the administration is done. Yeah. I would suggest, perhaps, what this tells us is that the ANC administration is not what it used to be, which leads to another question. What's going on in the office of the Secretary General? Oh, wait, Ace Makashile was suspended.
Precisely. And it's not about the person, but it's more about saying, has the party modernized to a point where new systems, new processes are put in place that, by the way, are able to respond directly to the demands of the party itself. Administratively speaking, can the party accommodate the perhaps growing numbers from a membership point of view, and other intricacies that are linked to that question? Already we're beginning to see that, for quite some time, things have not been in order from an administrative point of view.
Then we've got the situation in Northwest. I mean, the ANC has headaches and, all over its sort of, head at the moment, I suppose. But now we have Professor Job Mokgoro resigning as Premier, but not resigning from the provincial legislature. Normally what happens is he would need to resign from the provincial legislature to create space for Bushi Mape to be sworn into the legislature so that he can become Premier. I think this tells us two things. One, Mokgoro wants to create as much trouble as possible, and two, he just doesn't care anymore.
Or perhaps it's confirmation of the fact that we should not undermine or underestimate Mokgoro the person. Mokgoro, Mokgoro, not necessarily the first citizen of the province as Premier, but as an ordinary person who would go out there and have a balanced livelihood. If you take him out from both positions, for argument's sake, the next big question is, where will the next salary come from? Where will his future be? There are voices that speak about his age, but be that as it may, I'd like to believe that when one is used to a particular standards of livelihoods, one would then do everything in their power to retain that. Perhaps there is a sinister motive from his side to say, if I give into the position, let me frustrate the entire system of wanting to get rid of me, and let me have at least one against the enemy within the party. That narrative will have to prove itself over time. But I'd like to believe that somewhere in this debacle lies the need to live his life in a comfortable way. We don't know whether the key meeting, so to speak, with the president was not only to register discontent, but also to raise his right hand to say, I'm still physically and mentally fit, and I'm willing to serve my country.
Professor Hanyane, I do appreciate the time as always. Thank you very much indeed, Professor.